Hi, it's Will from swordmaking, and this is part 2 of my tutorial on how to forge a sword. And in this part we do all the shaping, the point, the beveling, and almost all of the remaining forging work on the sword. And I'm showing you this right here because I wanted you to see that a lot of the work we do now is with the sword parallel lengthwise on the anvil. That will help us to keep it nice and straight and without any bowing or anything like that. It's important to keep it nice and straight and nice and symmetrical and very even. So let's get started on this part of the tutorial. The first thing we do now is we're going to bring out that point by upsetting the metal here. And I'll show you. Just heat up the tip and forge out the point, and I'll show that to you in a series of quick shots here. See, we don't want to get it to its absolute final point until the very end, because that point can be very sensitive to heat, and it's easy to tear or to rip or to crack or something like that. We want to get it rounded and close to its final point form at this point, but not quite the full way. See, I'm going to do it nice and rounded, and it's pretty hot. But there we go. I've switched to a smaller hammer. I'm just finishing up the details. I've got a decent point there. Make sure it's forged nice and closed, and a reasonable point. At the very end, we'll bring that point out to the way we want it. But for now, we'll continue on working. Now I've started to work the surface of the sword here. Now when we drew it out, we caused a lot of lines in the sword. So I'm going to repeatedly heat my way the length of the sword and work the surface to smooth it out nicely. And I'm leaning here towards more work on the edges because I'm starting to bring out that bevel. See how I'm working my way up the sword? I was at the point and now I'm almost towards the handle. Just in repeated heats like that, because that's all we can do in the forge. So start to shape the sword, get a nice shape. Always be looking at it, always be taking a good look at it to keep it nice and sharp, nice and straight, and nice and even. And we want it to be symmetrical, the lefts and rights to be exactly the same. So this takes a while. You can work your way up and down the sword. And and there you go. It's starting to look like a sword now, isn't it? And I'm starting to work those bevels a little bit. But I'll show you. I'm also going to, in this next series of 5 or 6 quick shots, I'm going to start working the bevel. And see how that's a little bit crooked? We want to always keep that nice and flat and nice and straight. So now we're going to start working the bevel. And I've already began that with the larger hammer, but now we do repeated heatings down the length of the sword, rounding it so the edges are thinner than the middle section, the spine, right down the center of the sword. See, I'm just working my way down. And it's on both sides. You don't just do this side, you flip it over, do the other side too. See, I'm at the point there. So I'm just about done. This is a lot of work. You don't see it here, but it's quite a bit of work. So now I'm just about at the point. I've got my bevel. The shape is all nice of the sword. So now I'm going to do a couple of things to finish this thing off. The forging is just about done here. I'm going to finish off my point, get it almost to the final shape. Now that we're done with this, and this way we don't want to repeatedly heat that point. It'll make it it's sensitive and easy to break or crack. So let me finish off that point here. And it's looking good. It's just about where you want it. Always be looking. At this point, you're always looking at the sword to keep it nice and crisp and straight. And then we go back and we'll finish off the tang. And that's it. This sword is just about ready for the next stage, which will be the annealing. Always be looking at that. Even, symmetrical, nice and crisp, nice and straight and flat. So use it lengthwise on your anvil a lot. And that's it. So here's what it looks like where we're at right now. I've got to clean this up. I've got to anneal it, but that's our sword. Lots more stuff coming. Lots more stuff here on my YouTube channel and on my website at swordmaking, and more of this tutorial coming. Thanks.